And welcome to the channel. My name is Katie, and today we're going to be talking about the new moon in Pisces coming up on February 28th. Now, the topic that I've dubbed for this new moon is fresh new beginnings, specifically Pisces themed new beginnings. And just like always, we'll talk a little bit about the degree that the new moon will be happening on, just to get a good idea of what the tone this new moon is setting. So, the new moon in Pisces is on the ninth degree of Pisces, is where this will be happening, which the ninth degree of Pisces is a Sagittarius degree. So we'll be very big picture oriented, determined, goal oriented, kind of going at full speed. And this is a great time to put our dreams into motion. And as I go through a lot of the transits and things that will be happening for this new moon, we'll see that kind of literally spelled out for us in the stars, because it's really cool what's going on. There's just so much freaking Pisces. I already made a whole video about the all the Pisces transits leading up to this new moon. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check it out. This new moon, if I say full moon, I'm sorry, new moon is going to be very confusing, but I think for some people it's going to bring a lot of clarity, and that is because Neptune is involved, and in modern astrology, Neptune does rule Pisces. And Neptune brings the confusion, but as you work through the confusion, you find clarity. Is something recently that I was reading about Pisces, and I think that, or specifically Neptune, and I think that that's a really cool take on it, because even me, I've been talking a lot about how Pisces is full of illusions and confusion and things like that, and it's easy to slide in those types of manipulations, or it's easy to slide in manipulation when there's a lot of confusion, is what I mean. So there's a lot of different dynamics at play with this new moon, honestly. There's a lot of different new beginnings that will be happening. Again, I know in the world there's so many crazy new things, that are happening. I'm not going to go too much, I'm not really going to go into politics today. We're going to talk more about spirituality and things like that. I think I may bring up something political like once. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the meat before I just keep rambling. In Pisces is trining Mars and squaring Jupiter. Now, this is going to be a call to really expand our passions, our capacity for love, and it's also a good time for luck and good fortunes, because Jupiter is calling us to expand, and Jupiter brings a lot of luck and optimism along with philosophy and spirituality as well. So, this is a good time for working with fortune or manifesting, but not being over optimistic, because this is also a time with that Jupiter square the new moon. It's easy to become careless with money, fortune, or even decisions making. Things we just kind of might be like, oh yeah, I'll do that, but you didn't really think through that decision. But specifically with, I think, especially for us in the States, we could see some careless spending or decisions with money. So be really grounded in your decisions around big decisions, money, things like that. But moving on, the new moon trine Mars is really that the planet that is going to tie our passion into that expansion for the new moon specifically, because Mars has a lot to do with our passion and even aggression. It's also action. So when this is trine the new moon, which involves the sun and the moon in Pisces, and Mars just went direct, so this is a great time to make decisions, especially with what we just talked about with that. Um, so making emotional moves, making moves that are good for your personal investment and self-expression. This is a great time to begin creative endeavors, to express yourself in a new way, because this is a new moon that is particularly great for creative, spiritual, philosophical, ideological new beginnings, just like it's, or humanitarian as well. In my last video about this crazy Pisces season that we're going through, which on today that I'm recording this, I posted a bunch of stuff for Pisces season on my Instagram. But it's not actually Pisces season yet. But I'm just really rearing to go for it because this is just such a really cool Pisces season. This is why. There has been up to 6 planets at a time in Pisces. But since Venus moved out of Pisces into Aries and it's getting ready to retrograde, which I will have a video coming out for that. It's happening on March 1st is when Venus goes retrograde. But since when Venus was in Pisces, there was up to 6 placements at a time, including the North Node, 5 planets and the North Node in Pisces. So that's 6 placements in Pisces. And when Venus moved out, Venus is no longer in Pisces. She's in Aries right now. And that leaves 5 placements in Pisces. That's still a lot. Now, the rest, other than the sun and the moon, which make the new moon, so that's 2. There's Mercury, Saturn, Neptune. Oh, wait. I counted wrong. That's okay. But like, that's so intense. That's so cool. There's just so much going on in Pisces, and I am dyslexic, so it's okay. Numbers aren't our strong suit. This is why I'm so glad that we have computers for astrology, because astrology actually is number-based. If you didn't know that, it's a lot of math. But there is a specific conjunction going on in Pisces between Mercury, Saturn, and Neptune, which Neptune is sextile Uranus. So when we zone in on that real quick, Neptune sextile Uranus, that means we're going to have a lot of funky dreams, a lot of interesting new spiritual beginnings potentially, a lot of weird things making sense or just being confusing right now. Eventually they're going to make sense. Like we talked about earlier in the video, Neptune kind of brings chaos, confusion, but also clarity when we work through that. So when we looked at the rest of the conjunction, so Saturn and Mercury aren't sextile. If you look at the chart, you'll see why. I'll put it somewhere here, probably over here. So what I have written down in my notes for Mercury, Saturn, and Neptune being conjunct is confusion and clarity and communication, like I was saying, because Mercury has a lot to do with communication. And with that Neptune influence, it may be confusing. I mean, we're already in Pisces to begin with, and having Neptune right there is very modernly Neptunian, or Piscean, both. Which is going to bring a lot of spirituality as well. But then we're going to add Saturn on top. So we're going to be refining a type of expression, or refining how we communicate in this really poetic Piscean way. That's going to be in a very big picture scope, maybe a little less focused on the details. But this is also going to be really community focused, refining of a community, starting a new community, that kind of thing, especially if Pisces is in your 3rd house. But this is also because Saturn is there in Pisces with a lot of these dreamy things going on, especially Neptune. This is a great time to put those dreams in motion, especially with that combination of this being a new moon. And then I also think there could be like a new social media platform potentially with the Mercury Saturn conjunction, or maybe some just like different social media type of presence. I don't know. We'll see. I'm really intrigued on that one, and that transit peaks before the new moon, so we'll kind of see what gets churning in the stars before that, you know. But we could also, in the general scope of this Mercury, Saturn, Neptune conjunction, this is a new and inventive push. So there could be a lot of different things that are set in motion, along with those creative things that we were talking about earlier in the video. But this could also be some interesting, like, homeopathic, like, medicine. And before we move on entirely from what's going on in Pisces with all of these placements. 6, apparently. Apparently I counted wrong. I'm sorry. It's okay. Um, but Neptune is also conjunct the North Node, and that's been happening for a minute. I've been talking about that for a minute in my videos and on Instagram. Um, and this is going to be a continued and intensified spiritual awakening. If you're going through one, it's just going to keep happening. And make sure you're grounding. I didn't mean to say that super casual. I know it's a very intense situation to go through as a spiritual awakening, or just like really changing that spirituality and evolving it, which is really beautiful because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to grow and change as our spiritual practices evolves with us. But this is also another chance to turn confusion into chaos, because the North Node is our path. It's where we're supposed to go. It's kind of like our North Star, what we're supposed to follow. Or it's also the new things that we need to experience in order to grow truly. It's an expansive point in astrology. So it's very possible that maybe you're getting a lot of clarity about your purpose here, because Neptune also talks about minority groups and humanitarianism and caring for other people. It also has to do with also being in Pisces, like bad habits, addiction, depression, mental health, and things like that. And it has to do with holistic things and things like that, kind of like I said earlier. So we could be seeing a lot of expansion in all of those different areas, but specifically in our personal lives as well. So I think that's really cool. I know I personally have gotten a lot of clarity from it, and I was expecting just a wave of haziness. I'm sure if you've seen any of my videos from what before this all came in, I was just like, no, this is gonna be so heavy. And actually, but it's probably because Pisces is my 5th house. If you're a Scorpio rising with Pisces in your 5th house, likely chances are you've been having a decent time, given your placements, given that they're not harshly aspecting anything. But the 5th house is like fun, romance, creativity, kids, that kind of thing. And gosh, this has been such a great time. I've actually been having such a fun, liberating time, which makes sense because 5th house is also having to do with sex and light intimacy and things like that, but also self-expression. It's just been so great. So if you're a Scorpio rising, tell me how it's going. But also, if you have any like of the rising signs, I would love to know your experience with this Pisces wave, tidal wave, basically. So, all right, let's move on to the last major transit that's going on for this new moon, which is Venus square Mars. And like I said, Mars just went direct a few days before this new moon. So we're going to be really feeling out a lot of our relationship dynamics with new people we may have met, or even old connections that have come about again because of the Mars retrograde that happened, or is happening as I film this, but it won't be happening. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Okay, our Scorpio and Aries risings, we're gonna get a break. But I also would suspect with meeting old connections, meeting reconnecting with friends from childhood. If you believe in past lives, you might be even meeting some people that you knew in a past life. So that's really, really fascinating. Just checking my notes here. I think this is also a great time to really get into why we love and how we love and what that really means for us. And I think it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. But going back to the beautiful thing that I love about Pisces is that it's a call to expand our capacity for love. Because Pisces doesn't know boundaries. It's a water sign that is mutable. It goes wherever it wants. It flows with everything. So everyone is deserving of love and kindness. So let's move forward with that thought when we go into this fresh new beginning of this Pisces new moon. So with that, I'm so excited for this new moon that's coming up. I'm actually really, really excited. There's just so much Pisces. And I cannot wait for what it's going to bring for us. So tell me what you are feeling for the new moon down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this type of content from me, I would really appreciate if you give it a thumbs up and a and maybe you know, subscribe to me if you'd like to see more. I really appreciate it. Also, follow me on Instagram. I post there every single day, and it's popping, it's popping. We're growing slowly, we're getting there. So anyways, I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching this whole video. If you made it to the end, I love you so much, and have a great day. Bye.